It's the bottom 10 right here at the Voice of College Football, our weekly look at the shortcomings across college football. If you enjoy the content, please subscribe, please like, and join us on our next call-in show. All right, this is not a formal list of 1 through 10. 10 is worse than 9, 9 is worse than 8, and so forth and so on, that this is a locked-in, metric or anything like this. This is just kind of a fun list looking at the entire season, but focusing on the previous weekend of some of the sore spots across college football. And again, it's a fun list. So many of you have commented, and I understand this is not like a rankings list. Many of you have made statements like, Mark, you forgot about this, you forgot about this, you forgot about that. Do you really consider this to be worse than that? No, it's just a fun list of some of the oddities across college football in regards to what we are throwing out there is the bottom 10, both from an individual standpoint, but mostly a team standpoint, starting with USC's offense. Came into South Bend having scored 40-plus points in 6 straight games, as we would expect this USC offense to do. Arguably the most prolific in college football for the entire season. Certainly that was the expectation. But they hit South Bend and they ran into a buzzsaw. Only at 6 points at halftime. Trailed 24-6, never were in the game in the second half, lost it 48-20. I was not surprised that Notre Dame won the game. Many of you were not surprised at all, but how the loss came, that was surprising. We figured that the USC defense would be letting down the team and not the USC offense. Specifically, the offensive line is missing some of its key players from 2022, and Caleb Williams is suffering, or maybe he's throwing away some interceptions on his own. It's a little bit of both when we look at the blame of the USC offensive struggles against Notre Dame, and certainly Utah will be a tough foe to get right against at the Coliseum coming up on Saturday. So our first on the list, the USC offense. Our weekly bottom 10 takes us to an unfamiliar destination, Boulder, Colorado, the Cinderella of college football. Has certainly taken a tumble here in recent weeks, or taken a tumble in the second half against lowly Stanford. So it's the combination of blowing a 29-0 lead to possibly the worst team in the Power 5, leading 29-0. This is the worst loss in the history of Colorado football in regards to a comeback loss by the other team. Also the most historic comeback in terms of points overcome by the Stanford Cardinal. We all witnessed it on Friday night. It was a spectacle, giving up 46 points to the Cardinal after having a 29-0 lead. Colorado's bull hopes on serious life support. They were up 29-0, looking for a 5-2 record. Now stand at 4-3, and the stretch drive is not easy with UCLA, Oregon State, Arizona, Washington State, and Utah. Oh, how more of the mighty have fallen. Louisville, so celebrated after that win against Notre Dame the previous Saturday night, where the Cardinals looked so impressive in marching to 6-0. The newly crowned Cinderella of the 2023 season. Could they go to the ACC championship game? Could they possibly win the ACC? Could they possibly get to a college football playoff? Well, this past weekend, they couldn't beat Pitt. They couldn't stay within 3 scores of a team that was 0-4 against Power 5 teams coming into this game, and lost to lowly Virginia Tech by 3 scores. Louisville goes down to Pitt. Their ACC hopes take a hit, but they're still in the running, of course, at 3-1, taking a spot in the bottom 10. Louisville. Did it truly matter that Purdue could not hit a field goal against Ohio State? They lost the game 41-7. It wasn't even really that close. But in a house of horrors over the past 20 years for Ohio State, there were some folks out there that thought that this was a potential possible upset bid for Purdue. And then the Boilers came out in the first drive. They drove it 44 yards. They got themselves in position to take the lead on the first drive. And no, they missed a field goal. Well, that was just one field goal miss. But by the end of the first half, having get skull dragged for the next 20 points by the Buckeyes, and it should have been much worse, Purdue marches right down the field in the final minute of the first half, and they miss another field goal. This one clank right off the left upright. I mean, a perfect direct shot. Julio Macias goes a lowly 0 for 3. He misses field goals. Purdue can't score until late in the ball game, and losing to the Buckeyes 41-7. Taking a spot in the bottom 10 here at the Voice of College Football, the Purdue kicking game. It would not be a bottom 10 It would not, truly, would not feel like a bottom 10 without the name Brian Ferentz. Yes, the Iowa Hawkeyes won a huge monumental game in the Big Ten Western Division, most likely the key game in the division this season, 15-6. 15-6, not 25-6. So the much publicized contract stipulation about the Iowa offense, or the Iowa team more precisely, scoring 25 points per game, came up 10 points short. So kudos to the Iowa football team, the special teams, the defense, and the offense, I guess, hanging on to the football, protecting the football. But in terms of the bottom 10 here at the Voice of College Football, Brian Ferentz is a permanent member, at least as it stands right now, and would have been the same last year, would have been the same the year before, and the year before, and the year. Okay, you get the point. With Iowa's effort, 37 yards passing, only about 220 yards of total offense, Iowa now ranks dead last in the nation in total offense at number 133. A team that is 6-1 should win the Big Ten Western Division. They're going to be a favorite in the rest of their games. Go to the Big Ten championship game with an outside shot of pulling off an upset, getting to the playoff. Dead last in total offense, and they've played their worst opponents for the most part already. Yes, the Iowa offense continues to be just horrendous, horrible, fill in the blank. Brian Ferentz at scoring 25 points per game. Again, that is a total team goal. It's pinned on the offense, but any scoring by Iowa counts for Brian Ferentz and the offense. So that safety, mark it down for the offense. Those field goals that took absolutely no drive to get them in field goal range, mark those down. The punt return touchdown to win against Michigan State, mark that down for the offense. And still, Brian Ferentz and the Iowa offense is 29 points below the standard at 25 points per game. A negative 29 they got to make up in the final 4 games. All right. Plus, I guess it counts the championship game in the playoffs. There we go. Permanent spot in the bottom 10, it appears, goes to Brian Ferentz. While we're on the subject of bad offense, let's take a trip to the Plains, Jordan-Hare Stadium, and new head coach Hugh Freeze, who has not throughout his career been associated with bad offense. That's one of his calling cards and was one of the reasons why he was able to secure one of the top jobs in college football. However, on this first season at Auburn, after a 3-0 start out of conference, it's been 3 rough goes in the SEC against quality defenses. All right. They go to Texas A&M. They don't score a touchdown. The defense scores a touchdown. They did have a decent effort on offense against Georgia in almost pulling off an upset. And then the latest debacle in Death Valley, losing by 30 against LSU. But it's most specifically the Auburn pass offense. It's abysmal. Number 123 in the nation. 107th in pass efficiency. Number 111 in yards per attempt. They've only thrown 6 touchdown passes. That would be good in Iowa City, but only 6 touchdown passes. That's number 110 in the nation. And they, though, this is a impressive stat, are 92nd in the nation in completion percentage. Of course, the big addition to the lineup during the offseason was Peyton Thorne, former Michigan State quarterback, coming to Auburn. Well, he has definitely not been the answer. 4 touchdowns, 4 picks. Robbie Ashford gets his shot as well as he did last season. He's more runner than passer. Hugh Freeze, it looks like you've got an off-season project. Also in the bottom 10, we've got the Auburn passing game. Entering week 8, we've got 10 undefeated teams left in college football. But we don't care about that. This is the bottom 10. We've got the 2 completely defeated teams in college football, Nevada and Sam Houston. Well, Sam Houston will give them a bit of a break. This is their first year in the FBS, and they have not acclimated as well as Jacksonville State or previous to them, of course, James Madison tearing it up in FBS play after entering this level in 2022. For Sam Houston, yes, 0-6 coming off a loss to New Mexico State, 27-13. And for Sam Houston, they've got a date coming up with FIU. So that's a possibility. FIU 0-3 in the conference right now. Sam Houston at 0-6, having been outscored by 81 points this season. We'll tag with them The Wolfpack of Nevada, they are 0-6 as well. They are coming off an 18-point loss against UNLV, having been outscored by 133 points in 6 games this year. Their best game was actually kind of ironic because it was the best team they played. They lost to Kansas 31-24. Now Nevada's got a shot to get into the win column down the stretch. They've got some possibilities here with San Diego State, New Mexico, Hawaii, Utah State, some pretty marginal to bad football teams. Taking up 2 spots in the bottom 10, we've got Sam Houston and we've got Nevada. Poor Tom Allen. It looked really good at Michigan. They were up 7-0. They should have been up 14-0. They threw an interception at the goal line on an overthrown ball to a wide open receiver who would have taken it most likely into the end zone. Hoosiers up 14-0 at the Big House. Well, they didn't, and they were up 7-0. They were outgaining Michigan 141 to -8. Then it all caved in as expected. So Tom Allen in Indiana still winless in the Big Ten at 0-3. They've won 2 games outside the conference, although the Akron win on the missed field goal by the Zips at the gun that would have sent the Hoosiers to an embarrassing loss. That really good game that they played against Louisville where they could have tied the game at the goal line at the end of the game and lost by a touchdown, that seems like it was 19 years ago. Tom Allen, 2-19 in his last 21 Big Ten games. Cannot be looking forward to the new Big Ten in 2024 when the options for winning ball games dissipate to practically nothing. But then again, would Tom Allen love to see 2024 in Bloomington? I think so. So in the bottom 10, the coach of the mighty Hoosiers, Tom Allen. Call it the Syracuse slide. And it takes the final position in our bottom 10 right here, the voice of college football. And again, please subscribe if you enjoy the content. We love talking college football with you. Best discussion, debate, and analysis. Syracuse starts good, and then it falls apart from there under Dino Babers. Like Dino Babers, it seems like he is a tremendous coach when it comes to being a guy of character, integrity, molding young men. Is he a good football coach? Well, the wins and losses would say no. He's gone to a bowl game twice in 7 years, and this year does not look like it's going to be bowl game number 3. Yeah, difficult place to win, but it's been done at least at a bowl level. And for Dino Babers, he starts out strong, and then they collapse. Now, part of that's due to the schedule. Syracuse typically, like most Power 5 teams, plays one good opponent and then 3 softies, and those are early in the schedule, so they puff up the record, and then it collapses from there. But it's more than that. It's actually playing better early in the season because they have played the likes of some good out-of-conference teams and gained some victories over the past few seasons, but then they just wilt. And the biggest example of this, where they had the opportunity to really break into the conversation nationally, was in 2022, just last year. Going to Death Valley. They just beat NC State, a good team. So that caused a little buzz for Dino and the troop. And then they go to 6-0. They go to Death Valley. They take a 2-score lead in the 4th quarter. They blow it. End of season, they lose 6 of 7. Look at the slide for Syracuse each and every year, practically going all the way back to 2014. When they started 2-0, they finished 3-9. 2015, they started 3-0. They lost 8 straight. They beat Boston College to finish the season, but they finished at 4-8. In 2016, 4-4 start, respectable, but they lose the Final Four. In 2017, that 4-3 start included a victory against number 1 Clemson. They lost the last 5, finish at 4-8. In 2019, a 3-2 start, okay. 5-7 is the close as they go 2-5 down the stretch. In 2021, 3-1 start. Closes at 2-6 to finish at 5-7 and miss a bowl game again. Even in 2022, we talked about a 6-0 start, go to Death Valley, lead by 2 touchdowns to get to 7-0. They crash and burn with 6 out of 7 losses, including to Minnesota in the bowl game. In 2023, here we are, 4-0 start for the Cuse. They have lost the last 3 games, and 2 of them have been mighty ugly against North Carolina and against Florida State at 40-7 and 41-3. Dino Babers and Syracuse football. The starts are 29-10 during the seasons we just outlined. 29-10 out of the gate. The conclusions, 7 and 46. That is not a typo coming out of my mouth. 7 wins and 46 losses down the stretch. Now, if that's not an entry into the bottom 10, I don't know what is. Leave your comments down below. What did we miss across college football? And again, this is not an exact list or a rankings list. It's just having some fun looking across college football at some of the shortcomings, and we will sure have fun with it again next week. Let's enjoy week 8, everyone, and look out for those bottom 10 candidates right here at the Voice of College Football.